Hi, I'm Dr. Keith Graham from the School of Teacher Education at National Taiwan Normal University. Welcome to my office hours. On March 30th, 2024, the Taipei Times published an editorial titled Bilingual Nation, Not the Be-All. For those of you that haven't read it, I've put a link in the description so you can see the article for yourself. The editorial board noted that one of the goals of the Bilingual 2030 policy is for, I quote, civil servants to be able to communicate in English. The editorial board then makes a claim about what it would take to achieve such a goal. They write, to achieve any significant results, schools would need to create an immersive environment by using English as the medium of instruction for all subjects. There are several problems with this suggestion. First, the underlying assumption of this statement is that civil servants only need subject knowledge in English. And that's simply not true. Pending a radical change in the population of Taiwan, civil servants will likely continue to use Mandarin for most parts of their job for the foreseeable future. So why would it make sense to propose English as the sole medium of instruction for all subjects when English will remain the non-societal language in Taiwan? I'm not denying that English has utility as a language for civil servants. But objectively, that utility is limited in many cases. And frankly, the utility of Mandarin in Taiwan is far greater. Second, the suggestion for immersion in all subjects represents a common misunderstanding about the life of a bilingual. More often than not, bilinguals use their languages to different degrees in the various domains of life. To explain what I mean by that, let's use a hypothetical example of a Mandarin English bilingual person in Taiwan. In the home domain, it is likely that our example will mostly use Mandarin. In the domain of society, such as at stores, restaurants, and government agencies, they are also probably using Mandarin almost exclusively. However, in the work domain, they may use both Mandarin and English depending on their job. Therefore, our hypothetical example only really needs English that is related to their job, and more specifically, really only for the tasks that they actually use English for. They don't really need English for every subject. From this perspective, if our goal for the bilingual policy was to get civil servants to use English, a more efficient and cost-effective approach would be to train them to use English in the specific purposes in which they need them for their work. It really would not make sense to teach them English for every subject or domain, because they simply won't use it. Finally, when the editorial board suggests that we should consider immersion for Taiwan's bilingual education, it seemingly ignores that the Ministry of Education has actually already defined what Taiwanese bilingual education is and how it is to be practiced at different levels. For primary and lower secondary, the Ministry of Education has directed bilingual schools to continue to teach core concepts in Mandarin Chinese and to only add English in select instructional activities at the appropriate level for the students. In other words, bilingual education at these levels remains Mandarin dominant rather than being target language dominant, as is the case with immersion. Now, this policy changes slightly for select high schools that have opened special bilingual cohorts. In these cohorts, the ministry's directive is that English is the main language of instruction, and English should account for more than 50% of the class. We could term these classes partial immersion, though some contextual details make that label somewhat imprecise. Nonetheless, I want to make it clear that these guidelines, where English is used 50% or more of the time, is only applied to select cohorts in a handful of high schools, not all high schools in Taiwan. It isn't until university where English is adopted as a medium of instruction. At universities like mine, National Taiwan Normal University, English medium instruction is being adopted to some degree across all departments. So at the level of higher education, Taiwan has in fact already adopted what the Taipei Times editorial board is suggesting. In summary, I have to respectfully disagree with the Taipei Times editorial board that immersion is what should be done in Taiwan's education system. I do not believe full English immersion in all subjects matches with the needs of our context. And in fact, I believe there would be some unfortunate consequences from pursuing such a strategy. Thank you for attending my office hours. If you have a question you'd like me to answer on this channel, send me an email at kmgraham@ntnu.edu.tw. I'll see you next time.